Hello everyone, and welcome to the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture. I'm, of course, your host, TJ. Now, it's been a while since I've talked about my debut queer Appalachian romance, Country Road Romance, so I wanted to talk a little bit about it today. And it's not so much this time about the romance plot, although that is very important, but I wanted to talk about one of the other important relationships between main character Jared and a member of his family, and that, of course, is his relationship with his grandmother Marla. Now, in the novel, if you haven't read it, while Jared and Charlie are at Jared's parents' house, kind of hiding out from the media storm after Charlie punches the homophobe, they meet Jared's grandmother, Marla, who is, this lovely white-haired old dowager who stops by and is clearly very fond of Jared, and I would also argue very cognizant of the fact that Jared is gay, and she loves Charlie, and, she's very welcoming to him. Obviously, they don't say explicitly what's going on. Now, this character is based very much on my own grandmother, my late grandmother, who passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago at the age of 97. But, I wanted to do honor to my grandma, Evelyn, which, it was a difficult loss, and, I don't want to get too emotional here at, Pisces Guide, although that is what we do here. But I wanted to do right by her. I wanted to honor the very special relationship between myself and my grandmother, but, thinking about it after I wrote it, and also kind of musing about it subsequently, and talking about it with, talking about to other gay men from West Virginia, but also elsewhere, I think that there's a really special bond that exists between grandmothers of that generation and usually millennials, Gen X, grandsons who are gay. And I talk about it, and I've spoken here about it at the Pisces Guide, that sort of know but they don't know. And I think that's a really fraught space, and it's one that, continues to haunt me that, my grandmother knew I was gay, but I had never really told her explicitly, never had really come out, but she loved me anyway. Not anyway, she loved me wholeheartedly, and she was very welcoming to my partners. And I mention all this because it's very much in the background of the book, and it's something that I think, is very much in Jared's mind as he thinks about and, talks with Charlie about what it's like to be close to someone, to be so bonded with someone in your family while also hiding a part of yourself for whatever reason that might be. And I think like I said, there is a special bond that much as gay men often have fraught but deep relationships with their mothers, I think they have also, as a rule, have also very powerful, deep bonds with their grandmothers for one reason or another. And I've lost count of the number of gay people that I know in my life, gay men in my life, cousins, friends from high school, all of whom are like, yeah, I had that special bond, Everyone has it, or not everyone, but a lot of gay men have it. And I just think it's a special, beautiful relationship that is worth, dwelling with, spending time with, grappling with, because it's complicated. You spend your whole life pretending to be someone that you're not, to sort of spare the feelings or the knowledge of this older member of your family. And, even if they recognize you as a gay person, or as a queer person, they don't ever really bring it out explicitly, and so it's a difficult thing to reckon with, especially if, like me, your grandmother passes away, you never do come out, and you're always like, well, it's the never knowing in particular. So I wanted to do justice to that relationship, to the complicated feelings that are aroused by those kinds of relationships when I talk about Jared's relationship with Marla, and he talks about it with Charlie, who similarly has, different relationships with people in his family. And although obviously the point of Country Road Romance is to show that all people, regardless of where they live, can have happy endings, and I think that's really important, and it's very, very much a key part of why I wrote the book and why I continue to write queer Appalachian romance. I do also want to kind of, use these novels to look at different other dynamics that are just as important to the lives of queer Appalachians. And I think that for queer Appalachians, our grandparents, whether we call them meemaws, papas, grandmas, nannies, whatever, are just so important to who we are and how our relationships to ourselves, our relationships to our pasts. And, for me, my grandmother was a link to the agrarian lifestyle. She was the daughter and granddaughter of farmers. Same with my grandfather. That has been true of many generations on that side of my family. And so, it's impossible to really cut that out of your life. Or if it is, it costs a lot. So I never obviously made that choice. And so Marla is, to some degree, sort of my love letter to my grandmother, in much the same way that Country Road Romance is my love letter to West Virginia. And I just wanted to acknowledge the importance of gay men's relationship with their grandmothers. And I think that that's just a really special, meaningful bond that is unlike anything else. I mean, that's part of the reason that I still miss my grandmother, is that it's a bond that has never been replicated, and you just kind of have to reckon with the fact that you're never going to get that back. And that's, and so this novel was my way in some ways of, of reconnecting with my grandmother in a way that I think and I hope is meaningful and does justice to her memory and to the love that we did very much bear for each other. So anyway, I don't want to get too hung up on the emotions. So if you haven't already, please do check out Country Road Romance. It is available wherever you buy your books. It's on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. It's Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, lots of indie bookshops. If you go to my newsletter, omnivorous.substack.com, there's a whole list of places you can buy the book. Places like The Buzzword in Ocean City, Capricho's, all sorts of bookstores in West Virginia, book tenders, and so forth. All are great places and options. It's also available in some select libraries in West Virginia, so please do check it out there. Basically, wherever you can buy it or read it or review it, please do. I very much appreciate each and every one of you who have given Jared and Charlie a space in your hearts. So anyway, that is all I have for today's edition of the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture, at least for now. So, of course, I'm your host, TJ, and I hope that you all have a great evening. Take care, y'all.